Eboys, they've got a lot to think about with this draft now as to kind of what they're doing to deal with these picks that are coming out from Felt. I wonder, do you just go for another position 4 here or a position 5? Just not really show your hand too much? Like, what do you actually do? Do you pick up something for Purge here up against the Bat Rider straight off the bat?
If you're looking at Purge, you got to pick it up fast. The
Yeah.
Oracle is the only viable support. You could maybe look at a Venge for swap, but Venge support has been pretty dead across every region, so you don't really have that option. Oracle is the choice, which leaves you in a bit of a quandary. Pos 4 Kotl, not uncommon, but it also can fall flat. The Ag's timing was good last game, but you don't have the natural combos with your keeper anyway. You have to watch out for that. Bright side, beyond the Oracle just having that dispel, of course, is Oracle Timb is pretty nice. So you have a solid frontliner to get False Promise onto. They need to build around these. Like, the next 2 picks need to have damage is the key thing. We saw Eboys kind of lack that in game 1. They need to find a way to rectify that here in game 2. Felt
I actually love that.
That's going to be hard to lock it.
Yeah, that's a great pick. We've been seeing a lot of Weaver in pubs recently as well. This hero does seem very powerful right now. Very difficult to deal with, as you've already stated. You do have the Fortune's End, but that's pretty much all you have to try and lock him down. And that's really not going to be enough. I mean, you can see that coming from a mile away. You have plenty of time to just kind of Sakuchi and just run for your life if you need to. Very, very dominant kind of pick here from Felt. I think we can both agree their draft is looking substantially better right now. Not just in terms of team fights and coordination, but even in terms of laning phase, they just seem to win out every lane thus far. But Electronic Boys, they do go for a Queen of Pain. Very lane-dominant kind of mid-hero. Does seem quite nice into the Bat Rider. Though I say that, it's not like you're really going to dominate the lane up against the Bat Rider. You're kind of just surviving.
Pretty much. Like, the Bat Rider is not going to look for kills in that situation. All you will want is clear out the waves, go into your camps, stack, clear out camps, hit your level 6. Once you get 6 up, look for a kill in the co-op. Even earlier on, maybe by 5 or by that 4-minute mark, if your Grimstroke goes down mid with a silence, it'd be an easy pick in a co-op if you want. So Eboys will have to watch out for the early aggression that the co-op could face here. It does kind of give them an answer to the damage issues they do have. So there's some pretty decent team fight here that is reliant a bit on, say, the Will-O-Wisp from the Kotl is going to be important for that control.
Yep.
But once you have something like that on hand, Chakram's great AoE on top of it. Sonic Wave is really good on top of it, so you do have some ways of playing around this. Speeds here is going to be key. We see Jug banned out by Felt. Again, they've done their research. They know what heroes to take out. I'm wondering what Eboys can really slot in here. I guess there's an option here for Troll with the Dispels on hand.
Yeah.
Plus, with the Oracle is pretty nice here. It's just kind of weird into the Weaver. There's a lot of back and forth.
It is strange, right? Because if you get the Ensnare off on the Weaver, you're happy, you know. But if you don't get lucky with that Ensnare, then you're just going to get kited around constantly. But it does seem like Troll is probably their best pick right now. I would have to agree with that on the for the side of E-Boys. I would have said Ricky, but that was banned out very early on. They don't really have too many other options unless they're about to bring out something a bit more left field. Troll does look pretty decent unless Felt ban it now. Even with the Troll though, like I say it's decent. It's not amazing. It's just... well, it's banned, so we can't go down that route either. So now you're really kind of stumped as to what you can choose for this position 1, because there's not many good options up against the draft that Felt have. Okay, maybe there is. The Alchemist comes out, so just try to beat the game before they could really get online with this Weaver.
Yeah, and that is a fairly potent core. We've seen Alk last pick really work out for a lot of teams. So there's a lot here working for Electronic Boys. I'm wondering what speed goes for. Should still be a Battle Fury build, but I think we've seen a couple of Midas Alk different regions. So you have that option. Speed has been favoring that Midas, at least in the last we covered. So we'll see.
That's why I said I hope
should
not.
Be the battle.
Yeah.
Should be the B Fury. Oracle Alk is really nice. Felt don't really have a natural Spirit Vessel carrier. A lot of value from the healing here. And don't really have room for closing out with, say, an AA. Unless AA mid, bat off. Could be funny to see, but not a good situation for Felt, I don't reckon.
I'll tell you what though, John, the one problem I'm seeing with this Alchemist, you're up against the Bat Rider, right? So this Alchemist is naturally going to want to just clear stacks. So you'd expect the side of Eboys to get those stacks going in their jungle. But you're up against the Bat Rider, who's happily going to take those stacks away. So that could be somewhat of a problem here for Eboys if the Bat can find those stacks. And I know you're very happy to see that Slark coming out, John. I think the idea here is Zor goes to the off lane, he picks up an early Spirit Vessel, and that's how you deal with speed on the Alk.
It's a great shift out here for Felt. Like, Weaver off, going for utility, so as you mentioned, Spirit Vessel's an option, into something like the Ags. That gives so much ridiculous sustain here for Felt. We've seen that Ags really ruin a lot of teams, and the hold of Electronic Boys comes into question again. They only really have Oracle Root plus Alchemist Stun, and the uptime of the Ags callback is just kind of ridiculous in a long fight, so there's a lot to go back and forth here for Felt. Overall, I think Yugo and Iron kind of agree here. The last pick Alk is nice from Eboys, but the Bat Rider, as you pointed out, Slark enjoys fighting against these tanky heroes. He doesn't care about False Promise. He enjoys it because he gets more stacks up for himself. So it's a really good response there, and I think Felt, they've got some comfort picks as well. Tana back in Shadow Shaman, Justice on Grimstroke. There's a lot to worry about here for Eboys, and Eboys, it's a matter of meeting that timing. Game 1, they sort of met that timing. They couldn't close it out. We'll have to see if they can rush it fast enough and keep that game on the lid early on here.
Yeah, I mean, usually I wouldn't really like the last pick Slark. I'm not the biggest fan of Position 1 Slark right now, but it is a natural Eye of Skadi carrier as well. So you're going to have a way of really dealing with this Alchemist during the later stages of the game. And on top of that, if you really wanted to, and if Zor was having that good of a game, he could go for Eye of Skadi on top. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Just one of them needs to get it. And of course, I'm sure Zor will go for the Spirit Vessel first up to make sure they can actually kill the Alchemist early on. But all eyes on Tay as well, John. This Bat Rider has to have some pretty good presence of mind to make the rotations once speed goes missing and try to find where these stacks are. Because if you can steal the stacks away early, it kind of just ruins the Alchemist's game. Speaking of, Eboys, they are grouped up as 5. They're making the rotation into the Dire jungle. I don't believe it's going to lead to anything but securing some bounty runes. And Felt did the exact same thing in the opposing triangle, and kind of the same story. Nobody getting caught out.
I'd say that's fine for both sides. He did expend a smoking Felt, although Zor might find out the hard way here.
He's got Sakuchi, though. It's probably the hardest target they could have kind of ran into, and yeah, that'll be enough. Zor will just stick around by that tier 1. Both teams will realize what's going on, and they'll get to it.
The battle begins.
Zor could snag one away. Yeah, he does.
Oh!
It's a 3-for-1 start against an Alk. Not good news here for speed. He's not going to be very pleased about it, but he also went for Acid Spray level 1 over Greevil's. I guess he's not missing out on too much without the Greevil's up anyway.
I guess not. Spade, he'll make his way down to the bot lane. I mean, this is a safe lane Alk, so... And of course, you'd love to have the Greevil's Greed, but you may as well just pick up that early Acid Spray, get those early last hits going for yourselves, and get a few levels up. Zor is going to be by himself down at this bot lane for now, but you do see the rotation coming in from Thana. Of course, the Shaman there to join his Weaver brethren. A lot of damage is going to be pumped out onto Albino Zebra. It's not a very fun lane for the Oracle this game.
Definitely not. He's going to need some levels up to take some control here. I mean, you've got some aggression with perhaps Acid Spray plus your Root plus maybe Unstable Concoction, but that's at least level 4. I don't reckon you're going to see that earlier here from Speed. And Zor's going to have a free run just zipping around, getting some last hits. Going to be a very steady lane for Felt to kind of keep in control. And Eboys, they've just got to hope for the best from Speed to find those last hits.
Yeah,
it's going to be hard to sustain overall.
I was very shocked to see Albino Zebra went for a 3 mango start, of all things, on the Oracle. It doesn't seem very effective up against the Weaver Shaman, but I guess he does need to secure range creeps for Speed here. So it makes enough sense. Unfortunately for him, he did just miss a range creep, so doesn't look great, but we'll see how it does pan out later on. Of course, in the mid lane, you've got Tay there up against Mio, and Mio is already suffering. Mio does not have Blink. He might be dead. Yeah, he's gone. Tay, no, the Shadow Strike will be enough to slow him down. So he did go for the 2 points in Shadow Strike. He's trying to be lane dominant, and as I'm talking about, that top lane is where the first blood does occur, where Giant does end up dying to Justice.
Yeah, it's that weak point for the Timbersaw. We saw this in game 1 as well for Felt. Takes a while for the Tim to be in a comfy spot. Level 2 is nice, but not when you start domineering the lane. So Felt just getting what they want from there in that trade. I think the ideal would have been to get Komart one hit in, so he'd have a 1 stack of permanent Agi. Didn't manage to get that done, but you're still really happy with how this lane is going. And AA gets caught as well.
He should be fine. Just a fair bit of damage going out to Komart. It's like Speed loses his courier down towards the bot lane. They do get Thana. Zor trying to trade. Can't really do so up against Albino Zebra and Speed at the same time. Be forced to try and back off, but he does get the clarity cancel. He might be in trouble. Oh, no, he's going to be fine. It's like Speed will be able to remain in the lane. Does get salved up on the Alchemist, and he's just going to keep his own farm up. As I say that though, Thana has returned now, salving up Zor, and with the Oracle not around now, it looks like they are going to try and get a little bit aggressive here on Speed. Albino Zebra realizing he can't really do too much in this laning phase, does go for the small camp pool and doesn't get it. Nicely blocked off there by Thana.
The one awkward thing for your Oracle here as well, those 3 mangoes you mentioned, all gone. So you have to commit heavily for that 1 kill. And does ferry out at least a clarity and 1 mango, but once you lose some of that burst mana on the spot, gives a lot more leeway for the opposing offlaner to play around. And even down mid, early movement out from Tana. He is starting to set up for those 4-minute power runes. It's going to be important for Mio to try and pick that up. He doesn't have a bottle though, but if you give that away to Tay, that hard lane's just going to get worse for you to manage.
Oh, Mio is going to just keep walking. He's not using the blink yet. Seems as though that was the right decision anyway, as they did not go for the shackle attempt, and it wouldn't have been a long enough duration anyway. So a very even kind of mid lane. How's the top lane going? Komart, 20-3, not struggling whatsoever. Having a pretty darn good time on the Slark. It's like Giant is really unable to put the pressure that he was, not him, but Speed was under last game. It is a bit tough into the Slark, I guess, because you can always just kind of pounce away.
It's an issue of control. Like, you don't have enough to lock in something like the Slark. Like, you can get some good damage in, but there's not any real follow-up, and that does enable some of this movement out from Justice. He's just going out for the pulls, not really being punished beyond just getting Illuminate out on the camp plus the creep wave, but that's a lot of EXP and farm being denied out from Giant. So he's essentially sharing this lane heavily with AA. You see AA is at 15-0, which is nice for a support, Keeper of Light, but not exactly what you want to split out between that and the Timbersaw.
On the bright side, John, the good news for Eboys is Speed is top of the CS board right now, and he was just overtaken by the Slark, but he is sitting right at the top. That's definitely very nice news for the Alch, at least. It does seem like Eboys are kind of all in on this Alchemist, so they are heavily reliant on Speed having a good game. Bit of a chase down bot. Albino Zebra going to get spotted out and shackled up, and that should be a dead Zebra. Does get the disarm off, but it is only going to just bide the time. Zor will eventually Sakuchi and get the kill. It's going to make poor Speed's life a little bit harder in this laning phase, as he does have to sit back and relax for a bit.
Yeah, I think it's been twice as well since Speed's career died. So he lost his career twice over. This time around, he lost his boots. Fortunately, it wasn't in the courier, so with Albino Zebra respawning, he's going to get his boots ferried in. But the movement out from Tana, again, it's just been on point. Catching out these supports, looking down mid. Level 6 is on Mio, so there's some burst turn potential here.
Oh, they got the lasso off. It's a lot of damage coming out. Mio, he's going to blink the right way. Very, very nice blink there. Not going into Thana. Thana maybe just a little bit early there with the run-in. Nevertheless, Mio will make his way out, and that'll be the first lasso of the game being expended for nothing. mid lane will continue to just be kind of this even trading lane. Tay, he found himself a slight advantage in terms of CS, but nothing to write home about. Pretty much every lane is still just evenly trading right now. Neither side really willing to get too aggressive with these drafts, both just happy to wait it out. Because we also
this kind of is favoring Felt a little bit more. They're getting more from their lane with their Slark level 6 up, and they can jump in.
Yeah, top lane. Hex is out, they've got the shackles. It's still a lot of armor on this Timber, but Giant cannot survive. Still, the Sonic Wave, Komart, he's going to survive. He had the Shadow Dance there. Mio not going to be very happy about that as now Tay rotates in, and they want double up. He's going to try and run away, but he's probably dead. And oh no, they found the Queen of Pain to boot. She can't blink out of the pounce. She's trying to survive, and she barely will, but the chase continues. Tay is behind the tier 1 tower, but doesn't want to risk going into the Oracle. Thana could play around here. Mio is going to make his way back in, and he does actually get the kill. However, that salve cancelled off immediately. Tay will make sure Mio runs all the way back to the fountain.
Yeah, that's pretty darn good here for Felt, despite dropping their Shadow Shaman. They get a good kill in exchange. Giant now just rotates mid, try and soak out the lane on his respawn, but that's going to be double damage. Tay not really able to contest, and you are seeing that early aggression start to shape up now for not quite online. You still want travels up on your Bat Rider first to get that added move speed, to get that mobility, and we're still looking for level 6 on these supports, but it is still sub 10 minutes in. The one blessing Eboys has is Speed is left alone to farm up, and he's actually going for Radiant. Not the Battle Fury build, Radiant's build coming out for Speed, which means that he is going to have to maybe apply some split push pressure and throw his body out front to get that Radiant.
Oh, Giant. Mid lane ends up going down. Mio now could be in a spot of danger. They will purge off the sticky napalm. That was a lasso committed by Tay, and he did have the double damage rune still active. It's a lot of damage output here from Tay. Towards the north, Justice being jumped on now. The stun will be there, but it looks like he is set to die. Does have help coming in though from Tay. Mio, he'll have a blink up. He'll be fine. That was a very nice blink as well, John. As had he waited another half a second, Thana would have been able to get the Hex into Shackles off. Mio would have almost certainly just died.
They're cutting their losses well here, Eboys, so they are finding some trades, while just being a bit too aggressive in their supports. Not quite at the point where these supports are really top tier as well, though up top.
Komart's going to be slightly careful here. One more Willing Death might kill him. Giant, he's going to turn around. He wants to keep going, but Komart is underneath the tier 1, and he's going to be able to heal himself up all the way. But they are ready to pressure this tier 1 top tower. Giant, again, jumping in onto Komart. Now Mio, a nice Sonic Wave out. And Komart, he used the Shadow Dance, so it is wasted. Meanwhile, Justice should be dead, but he's going to try and go for a juke attempt. But Mio will be able to get him with the Scream. That's a great rotation out from our Queen of Pain.
So those are some big kills coming out for Eboys. The right rotation at the right time. You're not seeing the same emphasis from Felt onto Speed, so they're keeping a good check onto Komart, right? Like they're keeping him down, not able to farm as freely as he'd want. He is saving up for a Midas, and the timing seems to still line up, all things considered. So they have some way of accelerating the farm in that Slark, but you have to be wary about Speed. He's been left alone. He's got 6k total net worth now. Radiant's not too far off. That's going to be a major spike for the Alec if he's allowed to farm this way.
Certainly he will be. Oddly enough, Speed hasn't made the rotation back to his triangle, and in all fairness, there isn't that many stacks to take anyway. He's just been farming the other side of the map, which has been working very nicely for him. The mid-tier 1 tower is going to drop. Of course, the bot tier 1 tower also went down earlier on. That should mean he goes to the triangle, which, there we go. Not that many stacks though, it's only a double stack on both sides of this triangle, so not too big of a deal. He's still farming very nicely.
Yeah, he's maintaining that lead. His team has been buying out a lot of good space.
Zor. Yeah, he might have gone a bit too far, but he's going to try and just time-lapse away. And he will make it out. on top. A bit of a chase here from Tay. He'd love to get the lasso off onto Mio, but looks like he's not going to be able to close the gap without popping that Firefly. Back to farming for him. And I said I didn't want to see a Midas this game, John, but Komart is the one to get one, ironically enough, on the Slark. So there we go.
Yeah.
Speed.
Poor.
He popped the Chemical Rage there because of Zor, but he can use it to just farm up these Ancients. He's still very happy. However, the Oracle may not be so happy. Albino was being chased a bit there by Zor. Does end up backing off, but now Mio trying to go into Thana. He's not going to really be able to commit all the way for that kill on the Shaman. And so both teams continue to just kind of play this game of tag with each other. Neither one really willing to commit yet, but the Eboys, you've got this Alchemist that's freely farming, so you're not going to be very unhappy about this. I think the more time you can buy for speed, the better.
Definitely is. The issue is they don't have a big lead here coming into the 13-minute mark, so they've only got less than 1k lead, and that is all on speed. All the other courts are being sacked for this.
Oh, lasso. They found Mio with the Grimstroke stun. It's all going to be there, and Mio is going to go down very quickly. Giant now, do they bother chasing down the Timber? No, they'll leave him be. Very nice pick off there onto the Queen of Pain, however. Eboys, all they can do is just keep trying to get that farm up on their Alchemist. They're all in on this man.
It's the only game plan they've got. Their momentum's thrown off here under Quap. Orchid time is going to be a bit late for our Quap, so it's not going to be speedy at all. Troll there. Speed is looking to make a play on Zor, though.
John, these puns are getting really bad. They're absolutely terrible, sir.
I'm not even trying, sir. I swear, it's just coming out.
Justice, he might actually survive. Yeah, he will. The silence was enough. Very nice.
It's tricky for a Timbersaw, right? Like, he silenced up, but he had Chakram out. He can't break the silence. So he's just stuck there staring. That's one of the awkward things with Timber into Grimstroke. If your timing's off, then you just do nothing in the middle. Very strange spot to be in. And Eboys, well, they could really use a couple of more gold injections for it. It's like, yeah, Speed's farming up. Yeah, he's got this Radiance. He's going into the BKB. He wants to stand and fight. Apply that presence. Apply all the burn damage he can with his potential second life here from Albino Zebra. But his lead is not big enough. We're going to have to see what else Speed comes up with. Felt they're happy enough to take their time. Like, because they went Midas and Komart, there's no pressure to find these early fights. He is going for Diffusal next, which is going to give them a lot more hold. Again, the mana burn is going to be really good as well in these fights, and we have so much room to grow. Tana's got some space up top to farm up. Aetherlent's going to be next, of course, although it could be in trouble.
Yeah, Unstable Concoction's going to land. Speed, just with the Radiance burn, can follow him, but Thana, nice juke towards the north. Gonna be just fine. Speed won't mind that either. He just wanted the creep wave. Pretty standard stuff. Another one of those out games. Giant may not be very safe here down at the bot lane. If they can get a pounce off, Inkswell's going to be there into a nice pounce from Komart. Now you just need Tay with the lasso, or maybe not even. They got the silence off, and that should mean this Timbersaw will die, but now the rotations are in with a great stun out from Speed, but there's your lasso, cancelled off immediately as Komart. He's going to try and fight this one out. The false promise is going to save the day for Mio, but Thana is going to die. And Speed will thank him very much for those free Serpent Wards.
Yeah, it's a back and forth trade. You're happy enough to take out that Batrider, but you also lose your Timbersaw. He's not getting enough space to hit his own item beats here. And you haven't really scared off Felt. Like, Komart just comes back in.
They're going right back in. Zor with the Inkswell should stun him up, but Unstable Concoction is going to be there. Justice didn't have the silence available on Komart. He might be dead. He's trying to fight this one out, but he's gone. Now Mio going straight into Justice. Do they have enough? Not quite. He'll make it back to the fountain, but now Tay's in danger. Just one after the other. Tay, he does not have a TB. I believe he's just gone. So you saved your Weaver and your Grimstroke, but you cost yourself the Batrider life. It just doesn't seem like a great trade to me.
Really greedy from Fault to force that issue out. They just saw all the rotations in for the Timbersaw. They should have known that we're still going to be in that general area. They force their luck and they're punished. That slows down Komar quite a fair bit as well. Still wants to build into that diffu. I think once you have that, you should be comfier with taking these fights, but because of that, timings can be stalled out a bit more. Eboys now build up a slight lead. It was 2k floating at 1k right now. Still a lot of that onto speed. Does have his BKB up, so this is big for Alchemy. He's going to be able to stand in front, and they do get some good control onto Tana as well.
Mio does get another kill for himself onto that Shaman. So everything's still going kind of smoothly here for Eboys, but it is just a 2k net worth lead. All of that is on the Alch, so once speed is dead, you know, you're kind of going to lose all of that. So, top lane, going to try and make a play onto double A, but doesn't really land the bugs, and Mio now might just turn back around. He does have an Orchid, but he could not catch out Zora in time.
You can see some sense of pressure from Eboys to just find these easy pickings on the side lanes while buying that space out for speed. They just need a lot more on their side. That's really the biggest issue for Eboys. Giant's kind of poor, Mio's kind of poor in comparison to Core's unfelt side. And this is a sacrifice that has to pay off for them. You have to remember as well, like once the Shaman hits Aether Lens plus level 15 timing, combine that with the Soulbind combos, which we have not seen as of yet, there's still a lot more in the pocket of Felt to show before everyone shows their hands here. So many combinations has to come in. Speed with the Blink Dagger up and with the BKB, I think he's going to look to fight. And you just don't want to be passive when you farm a BKB and Blink. You need to run around and play with that Power Spike. That's what Eboys has to aim for next. Perhaps a bit of a smoke up together to find some easy pickings, and could look for that. The issue is they don't have any forward vision here from the side of Eboys, so it's going to be hard to catch someone out in, say, the jungle or the side lane.
Absolutely. You are getting to that point where you do want to smoke, and Eboys say, yep, it's about time. Massive power spike here with this Alch. Oh, they're going to run straight into Tay, clearing out some stacks here on the Ancients. Tay may actually lose his life before he can finish those Ancients off. Speed, unstable concoction, going to be timed nicely with the Orchid. They do burst him down. They want a bit more, but it looks like they aren't going to find anyone else. Still a very, very important pickup to get though on that Bat Rider. They're only going to lose their top tier 1 tower for this, so it's not really too bad at all. Yeah, and even get more speed. Stun. It's on to Thana. Orchid there. Mio, he may have gone too far. And he has. He'll Sonic Wave. The False Promise will save his life. So ultimately, Mio, he will not be punished whatsoever for that very, very aggressive play. And now Justice going to be jumped on as well. Komar can't really help right now. They just have to watch the Grimstroke die. Meanwhile, Zor, he denies off that mid-tier 1 tower, and he's just going to have to Sakuchi out of there. They need at least another 10 minutes to really be able to fight Eboys, it seems like. They just don't have the items yet to really pump out the damage they need.
They're holding out a bit too much. They stream into these fights one by one. That's the biggest issue. They're not quite coordinated in these engagements. They need to just jump in with their combos. The Soulbind plus Hex combos, the Shackles has to come out. And before that point, well, you're just going to be controlled up. You can see how confident Speed is now with that Blink. He just jumps forward. He knows he has his team behind him. He's got a lot of control with his stun coming out. He's got a lot of AP. And he is a very hard target to dig through as of now. With that, he hasn't even popped his BKB as well. So there's still a 10-second BKB charge left on Speed. And Felt 5k behind. Not the end of the world, considering that's still an Alch draft. But Eboys are starting to hit that stride. Felt need to maybe reel in their aggression a bit. Looks like they're just waiting for Tana to perhaps pick up the Blink plus Shard. I think when you have one of those two, you can definitely start making some plays happen, especially with the Soulbind. BKB is also being saved up here for Tay and for our Slark. So a lot more early BKBs being lined up for Felt, and that's going to help them stand in the front lines and mitigate some of the damage coming out from the Quap and the Alch.
I wonder what Speed goes for after the S and Y. Might just be the standard kind of AC build-up of this Alchemist. And no, he's going for the Abyssal Blade, which makes enough sense. You do need the lockdown. They're still not playing very aggressively, considering they have a pretty decent advantage. This could kind of work against them later on for Eboys.
Yeah, they're allowing the Slark to build into that BKB. They're allowing Tay to build into his BKB. You are confident with your Alk, but the BKBs absolutely ruin Eboys' lineup. Like, they've got some good pure damage coming through from Quap. It's going to take out the relevance of Timbersaw. It's going to take out the unstable concoction spam for speed. And once you take those issues out, once you take that control out, there's so much leeway here for Felt to just jump in and out. They're not going to be too scared at all, because they have these BKBs. And one's already done. Tay's got his, so he could be ready to go if they wanted to force the issue out. But I guess they might just want to wait for their slog first. They are grouping up bot, though.
They're not going to find Giant. Well, Eboys, they do smoke up as 4. They should be somewhat aware of where Felt are. Oh, Tay, he could be the unfortunate victim. He'll flame break the mid lane. Unstable concoction. Speed's going to have to stun himself with that one, but the jump in has been made by Mio. Not quite the target he would like, and he won't get it anyway. He doesn't commit the Sonic Wave. I think with the Orchid, it would have been just enough to kill him off, even with the TP back to the fountain. They found Komart though, and this is going to be much more worthwhile if they could just burst him down, and it looks like it was worth waiting. I love that from Eboys, John. They did not give up after the initial attempt. They just kept going for more, and they found a much more valuable target.
It's a bit greedy from Komart, knowing that they saw a couple of heroes across the river. Maybe they didn't see that smoke pop. Definitely just overstaying his welcome. And that is going to offset that BKB timing just a little bit more. Opens up the Roche here as well for Eboys. They do jump in. They can clear this fairly fast. They've got some good damage flying out, and Felt have to be careful. They can't afford to give this objective away, but they don't have any wards watching the area. So it looks like they might not be aware of it.
Nice easy Roshan. No contestation here from Felt. Speed will take the Aegis for himself, of course, and well, now you are definitely looking to take tier 2 towers. You know, hopefully a high ground for Eboys if they can make that happen. Of course, Justice getting some nice deep wards in ASAP, but he might just pay for it with his life, or maybe they might find Tay instead. That is a much better target, but it looks like they're trying to commit on multiple. Lasso going to be Giant dragging him away with the Lotus Orb. Speed does eventually kill off Justice on the Grimstroke.
Is messy. You don't want to fight without the Grimstroke. You really need the double lasso, double shackles, double hex to come into play, and Justice is not in a good spot every time, and the supports just get picked off.
Yeah, I didn't realize Thaner was also down at that bot lane, but Speed finding another solo pickup. Meanwhile, in the Radiant Triangle, Mio, he did just blink in. Orchid out immediately, but another Orchid out from our Weaver. And Tay is making his way in with the Flame Break, but it's not going to be enough to get the lasso off. You're going to be just fine to walk away from this one. While the rest of his team, they are freely taking that bot tier 1 tower, so objectives are being taken by Eboys, and there's just not much that Felt can do about it.
Yeah, they aren't really grouping up as a team anymore. That's the biggest issue here for Felt. Like, we talk about these combos with Grimstroke. We saw them earlier on when they were clumping up for these kills. It was looking great. Now that they're splitting up, their supports need to be alive when these fights break out. They absolutely need a Hex. They absolutely need Soul Binds out before the lasso flies in, and it's all just a bit too disjointed. Like, that was the fresh BKB charge for Tay going away. When you compare that to Speed, who still has 10 seconds up, tells you the state of the game. Eboys probably feeling really confident now. They've got the Basher up on that Alk. The Abyssal not too far off, and once you have that online, this Alchemist is just going to keep you stunned up if you're not careful.
Well, Double A, he's been stunned up by Justice here, and Tay will be there with the follow-up along with Zor. They do kill him off nicely. So Felt really doing a nice job of keeping all the lanes pushed out, so they can't really go towards those tier 2 towers yet. But now with this Abyssal Blade on speed, it's definitely time to go. Coddle or without, you've got to make some kind of play happen with this Aegis. You can't drag out this game too long. Problem is they might be trading tier 2 towers, which isn't exactly what you want if you're Eboys.
It's not the ideal situation, but should allow at least some progress on the map here. Felt are gradually losing control of their top jungle. They haven't played in that area in a long time. They have to commit the wards for this push down bot as well to match the pace up top, which means that you won't have Shaman wards in the next engagement. You won't have Shaman wards for defense. And Eboys just use that as their cue to keep shoving up. They've got Aegis up for at least 2 more minutes here. So they've got a lot of leeway in just getting some damage onto the tier 3.
Absolutely. This is what you wanted to see here from Eboys. Speed. They are going to be fighting into a new BKB on the Weaver now. Go in with the Shackle. Speed. He's going to be fine through the Shackle. Lotus Orb going to be there to protect him from the Hex. Maybe not. The Hex is going to fly out, but they can't kill him off yet. Tay does go straight for the Oracle in the backlines with the lasso out. If they burst him down in time, he's still alive, but should die and does, and now Speed's in danger. A nice Sonic Wave there, but they've lost the Aegis. Giant, chain a wave. Speed's the big boy that they want anyway, and Zor is going to start chasing him down. Meanwhile, Komart makes a jump onto Mio. With the Shadow Dance, he's still taking a lot of damage. He needs a way out, and he is not going to find it. Eboys, they do survive through this, and they want to keep going for that high ground. There is no buyback available right now on this Slark, which means that Eboys might be able to go for a... No, actually, they can't go for a second because the T2 towers are still there.
Be a hard thought though. They just don't have lasso and soulbind. This is so hard to lock in that.
Back off. Gonna be happy with that if you are this Radiant side. Of course, you don't have the Aegis anymore, but you got something out of it.
I think the big issue there for Felt, like, we saw the lasso come in again without the soulbind. The soulbind came afterwards. Justice needs to throw his spell out first. There's no two ways about it. You need double lasso coming. You need double hex. You need all of that on top, and it's just not lining up here for Felt. Stuck in really awkward angles to initiate, and I get it's a hard game for Grimstroke here in terms of positioning, but a lot rides off of Justice to really set up there. Like, that was the best start you could ask for Felt. They take out Albino Zebra. They took the Aegis out, which meant that they had a window, but there was no false promise. They could have easily gone for more, but they couldn't find a follow-up, and Komart is just not tanky enough in the front, even with that BKB, to pop all those hits. So a lot more has to fly out here for Felt. The R1 melee racks down, but they do find some good items here. Cloak of Flames is going to be amazing, especially if Tay picks it up. Like, the burn is amplified by your sticky napalm, if I recall correctly, and it's a lot of damage that can fly in.
I love how there's just random items and spells that can just amplify that, as we do find the Keeper of the Light. Double A, gonna try and force stuff, does get the Glimmer Cape off as well. He's buying time. Zor, meanwhile, gets Albino Zebra, but they're gonna lose Thena. It's still a 3v5 situation, 3v4 situation, as the Abyssal Blade does come out. Soulbind is there, Komart is gonna pounce away, but now Mio Sonic Wave is gonna be able to get Justice onto Tay, but Zor is trying to collapse in through the mid lane. They are playing back on a lot of heroes right now. It's going to be a big team fight. Komart, he's still trying to go onto speed. The BKB is making it difficult. He'll try to TP away and will just make it in time. They wanted to waste the buybacks of the supports of Felt. They did commit one buyback on Albino Zebra. Well, excuse me, it was Double A that bought back on the Coddle. I guess you could still call that a win, though, if you are Eboys.
Yeah, you're definitely happy with that. You're draining away at the BKBs of Felt. They're not finding any of these exchanges well. The damage output from Komart is just not enough. And even if he's getting some good Agi stacks out with the Essence Shift, it's not giving them as much presence they'd expect in the middle of these fights. Slark investment not quite lining up yet. And we're still seeing issues. Like, this time the Soulbind came out, but there was no lasso because it's on cooldown. The next fight has to be lasso with Soulbind. There's just no way you take that fight anymore without these combinations flying through.
You're We saw an attempt there onto Tay, but he's going to be just fine to walk out of there. Meanwhile, bot lane, Serpent Ward's being committed with the siege creep. It's going to be a lot of damage on that tier 3 bot tower. I think this is what we need to see from Felt, is just the constant split push kind of game. Of course, Giant will be there to just deal with the situation at hand. And if you're Eboys right now, you're definitely just waiting for that next Roshan to really make a play. I believe Felt, they won't really be able to just allow it to go down again to Eboys. They will need to contest it this time. I think if you are Felt, you are praying that the Roshan has a bit more time to go, as you are getting close to that Eye of Skadi on Komart. And they do get lucky. Roshan will respawn in 3 minutes, which should actually be enough time for Komart to get that full Eye of Skadi up.
There's a smoke out here from Eboys. They want to play aggressive. They know they've still got this massive lead. Swift Blink up on speed now as well. So he is just devastating when he does jump in. That's just so much you have to deal with on this Alk. And he's starting to build into the Ags game. So Will-O-Wisp is going to be up for free on AA. You're going to have so many upgrades to fly around this entire team. It's going to be really hard to fight into.
Oh, Komart, he may get caught. Does have the Shadow Dance speed. He'll pop the Unstable Concoction. Does use the Swift Blink as well, but is going to stun himself. Now, John, keep in mind, you've got a Shiver's Guard now available on Tay, as well as that Eye of Skadi that will come out very, very soon on Komart, and the Spirit Vessel on the Weaver. So you are getting to that stage now where you're going to have literally no healing going on from this Alk or Oracle. And I believe that will be the turning point for Felt if Eboys can't take this next Roshan. And even if they do, I still think it's going to be a very, very devastating kind of hit for them.
That it will be. You're still seeing some spikes here from Eboys as well, though, to counteract that. Like, they've got the Hex up on Mio. They've got some really fabulous single target control now with the Abyssal on top of it. It's a lot of ways for Eboys to find their angles. It's really down to Felt to be the initiator. They cannot be reacting to what Eboys wants to do because they're so far ahead. They need to take control first, jump the back lines, get their combinations off, get their spells off. They've got level 15 on Tana. He has his shards up. He has his Aether Lens up. The Blink would make this easier, but all things considered, you've got a million-mile range in the Shackles now, and you've got the wards flying through. You have some good angles to take in these fights if you are Felt. Eboys are doing the right thing, though, keeping that top lane shoved. It is exposed. The melee rack standing, so someone's going to have to respond at some point. And Felt are trying to do the same thing with their Shadow Shaman, just being cheeky with the Shackles Ags Shard. They have chipped away at the bot tier 3 quite a fair bit, but not enough to really put it under threat. So, not getting as much in terms of the exchange there for Tana, but they are holding out. It's a game that they're looking for finding the angle. Justice is saving up for his own Ags. So that's the Dark Portrait clones coming in, and you do have a Daedalus up on Zor, so it looks like they want to go full damage on the Weaver rather than utility. We'll see if that pays off for Zor, if he can stay alive long enough to get some hits off.
This is getting very scary for Eboys. There are way too many items coming up, and I think Thane is doing way too good of a job of forcing them back over and over again to defend that bot lane. There's going to be a smoke up. Eboys, they see the Roshan. Again, they will need this. Tay getting caught out. Nice Abyssal Blade there from speed. They want to try and blow up this Batrider, and they should get him as well. Tay is going to die without buyback. Zor, he went in by himself. He's forced the BKB up. He wants albino Zebra, and he will force the false promise, but he needs a way out of this himself now, I believe. He'll time-lapse, but he is stunned up and he's gone. That is not what you wanted to see from Felt. A very preemptive kind of couple of deaths there, and they've just given the Roshan away to Eboys.
That's going to be big for Eboys. Going to set them up for the high ground push here with the Aegis and Cheese. No buyback on the Weaver, no buyback on Batrider. It's going to be a long time, and going to be a scary defense for them if they do start dropping. Again, their tier 2 still stand here on Felt, so there are a couple more objectives for Eboys to take before going for, say, Mega Creeps or the Jugular, but Felt are in a really awkward spot. The lead is starting to grow even more for Eboys. The item timings are just not lining up enough to compensate for how far behind Felt is right now. And their coordination's still not in point. Like, Justice is forced to throw out his Soulbind to prevent any further jumps. Needs to stay alive, and he will TP home in time. But they need to use this next soul bind with a lasso. They really just need to jump in. They can't afford to keep reacting. You're just playing into Eboys' hands.
See what Eboys do with this Aegis. There's your first Aghanim Scepter upgrade coming out from Speed. I think he's going to give that straight to Mio, who's just blinking away and being very annoying for him, but who did he give it over to? He gave it over to the Timber. Alright, so you've got the double Chakrams now. Thana? Yeah, well, he's going to get used up. Nice little play there from Giant. This pesky Shadow Shaman is finally going to die. I think the Shaman is just so important to kill off because Thana has been a real thorn on the side of Eboys with this continuous push. Now Zor, I don't know if you want to be here, but Speed has jumped in by himself. The Orchid will come out from Zor, but the damage output onto Komart is very, very high. Soulbind and a stun out onto Mio. He blinked right into it. The Sonic Wave is there though with the False Promise, and he will survive as Komart now needs to run, but Speed has the damage output and will get the kill. Meanwhile, on the backline, Zor, he got double A, but he may give his own life away for this. In fact, no, he takes the Aegis away from Mio. As he goes back onto Albino Zebra, who's just trying to run. It's going to be fine for now. Zor continues to try and buy more time for the team. Sakuchi again, Giant. They don't really have a nice way of locking him down, which is a bit problematic. But they finally get the Orchid off, and that'll mean Zor is going to die. And it was a fair bit of time he did buy. We'll just have to see if it's going to be enough time, as Eboys should be going for a high ground push now.
They've got the room for it. Felt that could have gone a lot worse. Like, say, if Zor died earlier, you could probably see your racks already being taken. They've stalled out long enough that your Slark is going to be up in about half a minute, not too far off. They're still having issues with the initiation. Like, this time we saw the Soul Bind out, but it didn't quite grip right when it latched onto someone else, so it's still only a solo lasso. Not the ideal situation for the side of Felt, and they're going to have to defend as Tree for a lot longer. Not too long till to spark this up, though. Again, all things considered, could have been a lot worse, but still not a very good spot for Felt. Eboys really confident, really happy. So much regen on hand. The Shivas plus the Scotty, it just doesn't feel like it's really putting a scratch at all onto what Eboys want to do here, and it's just shaping up for them to look really good here in game number 2.
Well, the thing is, they haven't taken a 5v5 team fight, which is the real concerning part for Feld, is they keep getting caught one by one rather than taking the full 5v5, which definitely does not favor them. Let's see if they can rectify that in this high ground defense. High ground defense is not too bad here with the Grimstroke. And just spam Stroke of Fate and can make it rather difficult to push that high ground in. It's like Eboys are just going to go ahead and secure all their tier 4 items now. They won't have an Aegis to play with, but Speed is going to jump in with the Abyssal Blade. An Unstable Concoction is not going to land in time. And Zor, I don't know about turning around here. It's very dangerous. The Hex comes out from Giant, and they're going to make the chase down this Weaver. It looks like he is just guaranteed to die, but the lasso is there from our Batrider onto Speed. But do they have the damage output? The Sonic Wave and BKB is going to be there. Komart, he'll continue the chase onto Speed, but Speed is stalking healthy, and the False Promise will keep him alive, as now they turn back around onto Komart, and Komart, he's been perma-hexed. He's gone. Tay also being caught out of the Batrider will die, and now Justice trying to TP out is going to make it, surprisingly enough. It's going to be very hard defense without your Weaver and without your Slark. And John, once again, it wasn't really the team fight they were looking for. They kind of just continue to get picked off.
Yeah.
Speaking of, there we go again, the Batrider now. Tay, that's a dieback, and there's the GG. That Abyssal Blade from Speed really paying off this game. You've got to give prompts to Speed, John. I mean, it seems like he was always the one finding those solo pickoffs that ended up leading to objectives. In Eboys, they managed to take game number 2, forced into game number 3.
Yeah, really well played for them in this game too. They gave a lot of space out onto Speed. Felt looked really wonky. I don't think it was down to draft, more just execution, right? Like we were talking so much about Grimstroke combinations, so much about the timings and Shaman and what they need to do. They took a lot longer than I expected them to play around those timings, and they couldn't really get the double shackles off, the double lassos off. The itemization here as well was an interesting segue. Like Zor went for a core, sort of a hard one build on the Weaver, going for a Daedalus Rush after the Orchid rather than going for something like the Ags Rush maybe, or more utility out. So it felt a little bit fractured, but Eboys look great here in game 2. If they can keep that momentum up, who knows? We might see them make an upset here in game number 3.
I'd love to see it, John. Of course, it is MLP Dota and JohnXFire, and we'll be back in about 10 minutes for our third game of this BO3 between Electric Boys and Team Felt. I'll see you soon.